So anyway, this is, you can use your own jaw. I mean, this is just a model that we've made in the model designer. So, all right. So what we have here is the tray is just one menu. Ideally, we should make it into two for the upper and the lower. But based on time restraints and because it works so well and the videos are all done, we've just left it in
Can you
one
expand the menu a
menu
bit, Michael? Just pull it out.
like that.
Yeah, cool.
Okay. So the menu is made up of the yellow, which is the upper, and the green is the lower. And then down here, you've got some other goodies here. So make sure you're working on the correct color, and it's color coded. So when you're making your block art model, it'll be yellow and green for the lower. So you can, if you go wrong, you'll know where you're going wrong. Now then we've got an auto tray upper, which makes the surrounding around the actual model. I'll explain why we've actually done what we did do. All right, so we're going to select this and then we're going to head to the green one, survey lower model. And that'll change color then. So you know you're surveying it, you're looking at it from the top, and like all surveying, you just grab it and you sort of tilt the model so you can get a good bird's eye view of that. Now the way to do that is you go into one of these quadrants, left click and move your mouse. And that's all you have to do. Alternatively, you can go on this one and use the sliders. I mean, that's an alternative. You can do that as well. If you think you've made a mistake, click on reset rotations. That'll put it back into where you started. So it's very, very easy. So we're getting a good path of insertion. When I'm looking at the path of insertion, I'm looking at the lowers. So I don't want to do it like this or like that. So I just want to get a good bird's eye view to try and minimize undercuts. Now, with the tray module, it is very forgiving because we've got a spacer like 2 or 3 millimeters, so you can put your impression material in there. Oh, okay. So then when we've got this, all we need to do is make blocked model. So we click on that, and that'll create a block out version of this model. Now, this is a very um, inaccurate block out because we don't need an accurate block out. So at the moment, we can't select anything, and this is for safety because we don't want the user to click on something that they shouldn't be using. So I'm clicking, nothing's happening. But you can see that the block out is not wrapped around it beautifully because we don't need it. Okay, this is basically so that we can cut a layer, a layer into it. So we're going to go shift right click to place our cursor. That's where we always start. And we're going to pencil the tray, make an outline on this tray. Okay, so make sure you're not using the yellow. Because we are on green, stick to the green. Okay, pencil tray outline, outshoots a little vertice, and we're going to extrude all the way around it. Okay. So don't be too fussed if you do go into the actual model. This isn't like the arch cutting tool where it has to be above the surface, okay? So here we go. If you want to extrude it, click on extrude and then you can go left click all the way. So this is very, very easy. Going to go all the way around. Or if you don't want to go all the way around, go over the top of the teeth or something if you want to do just a quadrant or something. Very, very simple to do this, okay? So once we get to the other side, we just click on Fuse. Perfect. So this is our outline, and then what we do need to do is we're going to click on this auto tray lower. Okay, so what that does, it wraps around the whole thing. And there's a reason for this. Some people have thought, okay, why doesn't it just go to a tray? Because there's actually a reason, a legitimate reason for this thing. For example, we can edit this. So if we wanted to make the tray thicker, we can make it thicker at this stage. We just go into edit mode and pull it out. And we will explain this in a second. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to ignore the edit tray features, because that's when you're doing a customized version of your tray. Okay, we're going to click finish tray, finish lower tray, and that will then trim out this tray on top and the bottom. Note there's about a 3 millimeter gap between the teeth and the actual tray material, and this thickness of this tray is 2.7 millimeters. Okay, so then what we want to do is we may want to create some beading around this tray. Okay, so all we need to do, make sure it's selected. We're going to click on beading, and this puts like a tube going around the edge. Okay, you don't have to do it. It's an optional if you want to do it. Otherwise, you can go straight to the handle. So you don't really have to do this. So in edit mode, we'll see we are actually in edit mode. So don't be deceived. And it tells you on the tooltips exactly what to do. So in transparent mode, we can see all these little dots, these little vertices, okay? So we can make these thicker if we want to. And we're going to use Control A. It says on the bottom tooltips, Control A. So, but you need to make sure all these vertices are selected. Then Control A on the keyboard, A, and then Control A, and then you can expand it. You see how you can expand it just by moving the mouse. Okay, so this is quite useful because the thicker the tray is, the thicker you're going to need the beading to be. Okay. So once you've decided that, we're just going to confirm beading. Okay. Now that joins the one object to the other and puts us into voxel remesh mode. This is not edit mode. You can see up top here it says object mode. So don't get confused. It's prompting us to put a voxel size there. Now this voxel size is good, 0.4, and you may ask, why do we do this? And that's quite easy, again, because if we have a very little thing, maybe you're just doing a cap on like a special tray on one tooth, one tooth. you know,
Yeah.
you're going to need to voxel remesh this a little bit finer. Okay, so we're going to remesh, and that's our layer. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to bring in a lower handle. Okay, so the way we do that is shift right click to place our cursor, make sure your cursor is there, and we're going to import lower handle. Okay, so that brings it in, and we can then choose where we want this handle to be. So just say, for example, you want to bring it far away. Well, actually, we will custom do this in the next one that we're doing. So for this one, we'll just standardize it. We'll just keep it like this. If you want to make it thicker, you see there's a thickness here. So it's set to 6 millimeters. So if you put 8 millimeter, it just makes the whole handle thicker. Okay, so the default is 6 millimeter. Try not to go thinner because it can break, as Wolfgang has said earlier. Okay, so then to do it, if you wanted to customize this handle a bit, you can click on certain textures. We've thrown this in as well. So, you know, you can choose a variety of different shapes or whatever, okay? Or you can delete that and keep it standard and straight, okay? And then when we're done with it, we just click on finish handle, and that will cut it out and join it up, okay? So this is basically finished. Now, you may want to put some holes in it, so make sure it is selected. We're going to click on paint holes, and then we're going to simply brush it. Now try and stay away from the handle because you don't want to weaken You don't want to weaken the where the handle is joined to this tray. So we're just going to paint it like this, like that. So if you've made a mistake, oops, you've accidentally spilt your cup of tea or something, and you've made a mistake. So what you're going to do is you're going to the minus sign, and you're going to just delete that like that, and then click on cut holes.
I
Now
thought you
you'll
were gonna. I
notice
thought you were gonna draw a smiley face on there or something.
I kept that for the top one.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right.
So
Show us later.
you'll you'll notice that these are spheres, um, little balls that have been cut into the thing. It's actually quite cool because there's more retention to hold the impression material as well. So that's quite basic. So if you wanted to then put a name on here, for example, you can shift right click to place your cursor, and then you go to the model designer, and all you need to do then is add text. Okay, add text, and then we'll just type patient or whatever, and then we can scale it, we can rotate it. So Wolfgang, on the top, is it best to engrave or best to emboss? Because you had an answer for that, isn't it?
I think what you've got is quite good because I would have it horizontal on the build plate,
Yeah,
and yeah. So it's pointing upwards, which is good. But if you have it on the bottom, you've got to engrave it. Hypothetically,
yeah.
if you put the name on the lower part of the handle and it's horizontal, you've got to engrave it. Otherwise, it won't print unless
You would
you
need
put
supports and stuff.
like 15 or 20 support things, which is like kind of weird just for a label.
That's a good golden rule, isn't it?
Yeah,
Eh?
that's it. Yeah,
That's good to note and to
yeah,
know that, isn't it?
yeah.
Okay, so that's basically it. So that's standard, easy to do. Okay. So if there's any questions, please ask, and while I'm loading the next one.
Okay.
So that was Zoom 1. Let's go to Zoom 2. All right, this is an implant. And my mission here is to make a tray to overlap these components and to make holes in them as well. So we can do this with a wax up tooth library. We can actually put any object on top of the model, and that differs from a lot of other softwares because we can join these up, and the tray will go around it. So let's try and do that. So I'm going to take the other one, shift left click the model last. Okay. And then if you don't know the shortcut, it's Control J on your keyboard, or in the model designer, click on join objects. Okay, so now it's one object.
Or you can
Then we go to the,
right click. You can right click as well, Michael.
oh, you can. Is there a join feature here? I think there is or not. I've got to select two objects.
Select, yeah, but doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You right click and there's the join as well.
So now that this is an upper model, if you're not sure, then you just go tilde key and look at it from the front. So this is an upper model. I always work on models upside down. Even when I did large bridges, they were always like upside down. The top model is upside down. It's weird. All right, so this we're going to survey the upper, and I'm going to look for a good path of insertion. So I'm looking at these components here. I'm looking at the mesial and the distal over here. So that's sort of okay. Remember that's going to block out. So there's other ways of doing it. You can put a cylinder or something over the top if you want to. Okay, so we're going to make blocked model on the yellow one. And then after that, it's going to make another layer in yellow because we're working on the top. It's flicked it to the front view. Shift right click to place our little cursor, and we're going to draw the outline. and then E to extrude it. Okay, and we'll just go all the way. So this is quite easy to do. Actually, we've been featured in a dental magazine for this tray module, isn't it, Wolfgang?
Yeah, in
Eh?
Germany. In Germany. Yeah.
Which is really, really cool.
Zahntechnik.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. All right, this time around, I'm going to custom make it, so I'm not going to click this. Okay, this
Mm.
will take us through each and every step. So we're going to click impression offset. Okay, now this is an offset here. Visualize this as your gap, your space where your impression material goes. So default setting is 3 millimeters. You can set this to 2 millimeters. Like if you want a close fitting tray for a denture, for example, you could put this to 1 millimeter. Yeah. So then it'll be quite close. Okay. So let's leave this at 2 millimeters. So remember this one up and down, you can put in whatever you want here. So 2 millimeters. You can't put 0. Okay. And also try not to put 0.01 or something silly, because this is not the splint module where it adapts nicely to the surface of the model. It's not how it works. Okay, so it is limited to a scan like this. We're not looking at too accurate. Okay, so when this is done, we're going to click apply offset. Okay, now this is your layer, your layer, which goes all the way around. And now you may ask, why did we do it like this? And this is quite for a reason, because we can edit this mesh. So we go edit toggle. So assuming we want more space somewhere, just say for example, we want more space over here. Okay. We make sure the proportional editing is on, and then we can grab this mesh and we can make more space for the impression material. Alternatively, if we wanted to make stops, occlusal stops or stops somewhere, we can easily go take the C key like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure the magnet is on. Okay, so the magnet is on. And then I'll just quickly go on the G key on my keyboard. Oops, something went wrong. Okay, let's try this again. Nope, it didn't do the job. I'll take the proportional editing off. There's something else has been selected. You see this little thing has been selected. Let's go Alt A. Let's try this again. So the C key, like this. Okay. And then we'll leave the proportional editing on, and then we're going to use the G key, right? So can you see how it adapts to the model? Okay, this is good enough. So from the side view, you can see what I've done. Okay, so I've made a stop. Okay, let's go to the other side. C key, G key to make a little stop. Okay, so
Can
you
you
can
do
see
that
how.
without can you do that without proportional editing or not
Well,
really?
I think you can. So G key, you can you can do that without proportional editing. You see how
Mm.
it makes a stop.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So this is just an example. Okay, so we can expand it, make it bigger, and we can indent it as well. And this is really clever, because if we didn't have this wrap all around the model and only had a little, like a layer, like we have in the splint module, then if we wouldn't be able to grab this up and down the way we do. Okay.
So this is
So
quite
this is a
important
reason.
because if you've got, say, a bridge to make and there's a gap in between or something, then you can actually pull the material up higher in the where the pontic's going to be, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct. Because you don't want the tray to fold into that into the pontic area, you may not have enough space or something. So
Yeah.
you can just pull it out, which is quite good. Someone had asked me if we can offset this at a different level. So this is set at 2.7 or 3 millimeters by default. If we can add a feature where we can then offset parts of it at a different thickness. And I will look at this after the crown and bridgework module, because that could be a clever idea to do as
But
well.
can't you just select certain vertices with the C key and then just depress them down into the Z direction?
Yeah, but it's not 100% accurate. It's not like a slider where we can offset it. But
Okay.
nevertheless, it's just something to think about at a later stage. Okay. So then what we're going to do is we're going to click the tray. It looks like a terrible mesh, which it is because everything is intersecting, and it's 2.7 millimeters in thickness, and we're going to apply that. Okay. So now it's nice and smooth. And of course we can do the same thing with this mesh. So if we wanted to make the tray thicker, for example, somewhere, maybe maybe to strengthen it. I don't know.
Yeah, say where the
You know,
handle goes now. You know where the handle on the other side, in the anterior area where the implants are? So you could just lift
yeah.
it up a bit for the handle's sake. Mm,
So remember, the higher you lift it, the thicker it's going to actually be.
mm,
Okay.
mm.
All right. So we're back at this square one where we're gonna cut this out. So we're just going to trim that out. Okay. So it's cut it out. We've got a perfectly customized tray. It's a little bit thicker there. This tray here, you can see in cross section. If I go in cross section, how it bulbs up, and that's because I've pulled it up. And let's have a look at these little points here. You see it? So we've got our little stops,
Tissue
which
stops. Mm.
tissue, or it could be occlusal stops or something. That's a perfect little stop. So it's very handy to have. So we're very, very fortunate and flexible in what we can do with this. Make sure it's selected. Back to the beading. Control A to make it a bit wider, and then confirm beading. Excellent. So yep, and then we back to the tray. Now, assuming we want to bring in a customized handle, some people have all these fancy handles and stuff. So, okay, import STL. We're going to get a
Actually,
fancy
Michael, this
handle.
would be a nice thing to have in the components module, like many, many different handles. Hey, is Ivan here?
Is it here?
Yeah.
You read my mind, yeah?
Oh gosh, that's funny. It's funny. Right, okay, so let's rotate this on the Y axis. I don't know which one is back to front on this handle, to be honest. We'll just sink that into it's a little bit big, S to scale. Yeah, so this is a customized one. Someone in Germany made this one and he gave it to us. All right, so we back at the original position, and then but we need to name this because otherwise the coding's not going to look for it. So at the moment, and then we're going to click on name handle for imports. Okay, so it's called handle, and then we're going to finish it. So let's join it up. Everything is finished. We can see it's perfect, looking good. And now the last thing I want to do is let's cut a few holes in here. So I'm going to go to the model designer, and then we're going to shift left, right click, transparent mode. I'm going to have a good view of where this implant is here. Okay.
We could actually make a rap song that's got shift and right click in it.
Well, you've got an amazing voice, Wolfgang. You can try
I might ask my boys. They listen to rap music. and shift and right click. And
Okay, that's quite good. All right, so okay, where's our cutting tool? Here's our cutting tool. So we're going to create a curve cutting tool. Okay, so which cutting tool you use is completely up to you. So here we go, and then we're going to click on keep outside. Okay, there we go. We've got our little hole there,
you can
and
move it.
this is a live cutting tool, so you can use the G key, you can move it, you can use the S key to scale it. So there's quite a lot you can do.
So you
And
can
then
look
what we're
look
going
to
to,
find the implant.
well, yeah. But the transparent view does help, to be honest. So we can actually see where these little implants are,
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically it. I'll only cut one hole. We don't have to cut all of these holes. Okay. That's quite an awesome looking tray.
You
Yeah.
still have to put the smiley face on, Michael. You
Yeah.
promised.
Yeah, I did, but we haven't hit to the upper tray yet.
Ah, okay.
So,
We'll do that later.
okay. So, of course, if we wanted to put some more holes in it, we can. We just paint it, paint holes. I've seen some other programs where they make holes, and it's like, wow, ours is so good compared to. All right, and then just click on cut holes. I think that looks super, super cool, doesn't it?
Yeah, you get 10 out of 10.
Yep. Okay. So we're going to go to the next example. So open, and we're going to look for zoom number 3. So, okay. So here we're going to also custom make it. It's an upper. Okay. So in tray, survey the upper, get a good position of that, and make a blocked model. This time what I want to do is I want to create a closer fitting tray. So, okay, the procedure is exactly the same. I'm going to go into the sulcus area, and I'm going to then extrude it all the way. Again, don't be too afraid if it does cut into the model, because it's got a completely different way of doing things.
Do we have to be careful when we go over the freenom, Michael? Like if we make a loop out of it, loop up and down?
Well, I think with irregular surfaces, we should always be a little bit more careful. You see how I'm doing this
Yeah, that's what I'm
like
talking
this?
about. Can you loop it? Can you loop it over the freenom?
Yeah, the thing is that I don't want to see. I don't want to see this go like this. Okay. I don't generally speaking, I don't like this. Okay.
Yeah, from a
So
CAD point of view.
let's try and just avoid that if we can. Okay, so I've cut it out like this. And that will do the job as well. So anyway.
Mm.
All right, so we're going to go and do the special one here. So edit, impression offset. Okay, this time around I'll set this to 1 millimeter, because 1 is quite close fitting. I mean, 1 millimeter, you know, 1 millimeter on a ruler, how much can you, impression material can you fit in that?
Mm.
So anyway, let's just keep it quite close, just to demonstrate. Okay, apply. Okay, so again, we can make our tissue stops if we want to. I'm not going to do that now. We're going to click on tray, and this is set at 2.7. You can make it thinner or thicker, depends. Just remember, if you make it too thick, then when we cut out the spheres may not be big enough, and then you will have holes which are maybe closed if it's too thick. But yeah, so just be conscious of not making it too thick. And of course, if it's too thin, it could break. So I don't know what you guys are using as far as thickness is concerned. I'm not sure. So apply, and then we're going to cut it out. Okay. So, and then after this, we're going to put again, we're going to select it, make sure it is selected. And I'm going to put my beading around it. Okay. And Shift A, Control A to scale it like this. Okay. Now, here's the thing. If you look at it, it will cut into the model. Okay, so we're going to apply this. And of course, it may be cutting into the model at certain places because we've put the beading there. But guys, this is Blender. We can do anything with Blender. If it's not on the menu, just, use the other Blender stuff. We're going to open up a window. Okay, so we're going to go into Properties, the spanner, go to the Boolean tool, which is over here. Make sure it's on difference. Take your dropper, sink it onto the model, okay, and apply it. I mean, how difficult is that? That's absolutely easy. Now, if I look at it, you can see it's been cut over here. It's been cut over here. So, it's been cut in certain places. Okay, so we know it will fit. Okay. You can even make the beading thicker to make sure that we've got a complete tissue fit on the beading all the way around. I mean, that's another way of doing things. Okay, Shift right click to place the cursor, import our handle. Now here with this handle, say for example, I want to edit this handle. Say the guy's got a really thick rugby lip or boxer's lip or something.
Yeah. The,
So we need to, so we will,
yeah, you
we
got
need
to
to bring this
higher up.
out. We need to say bring this far out of the mouth. Okay. I'm just over exaggerating here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to edit handle. So what that does, it selects the vertices at the bottom here. Okay. So if you lose it by mistake, just click on edit and then edit again. Or just go C key or B key and select them. That's all you have to do. The thing is, this thing is one layer thickness. I'll show you guys how this looks. So we've got a solidify modifier and we've got a subdivision modifier. So if we untoggle this one, that's what it looks like. And if we untoggle this one, it's just one single little layer. And these are sharp edges to make sure that when we do subdivide, that this little square doesn't round. Okay, so okay, let's toggle this back. Okay, that's just a little bit of extra knowledge there. So here what I want to do, I'm going to use a G key. Note we are already in proportional editing. The magnet is off because we've clicked on this edit. We're going to go G key, mouse wheel it, and just pull it down, pull it in like that.
Like chewing
Okay.
gum.
So I'm going to go Control I, which is the inverse, and we can do whatever we want with this. We can scale it. We can do whatever we want. Okay.
Can you thicken
Scale.
the handle on the connection?
Yeah, we can make it thicker. So this is an over exaggeration, I know, but the message here is that we can manipulate this in any way we want to manipulate it. Okay, so we need to make sure it is actually going inside the model, because what it actually does, it joins it up and then it takes this little object here. I'll show you. So in the outliner window, okay, we've got a duplicate of the model here somewhere. Here, I think it's this one. It's this one. Okay, this is the undercut model. It's in gray. It's the cutting model. It's a cutter. Okay, so what it does, it cuts the handle. because we've used it before to cut the white, the actual tray. Now what it's doing, it's going to cut the bottom of the handle off. Okay, so let's just hide this again, the offset. Okay, so that's just a bit of additional. So if we look at it, the handle goes through there, and we're going to then click on finish handle, and that should cut it off. Okay, always check. If the boolean didn't work, you will see the handle pop through it. Then all you need to do is move the handle a little bit. That's all you have to do. Okay, so yeah, so finally what I want to do is go to the paint. Okay, so we're going to paint. Don't go too close to the handle like I've explained earlier, because we don't want to lose any strength. Okay, so we'll take this down like this, and then we're going to put a smiley face there just for you, Wolfgang.
Oh, thank you.
But don't, you've been waiting, cut holes, but you're not going to see the smiley face, I think, once the holes have been trimmed.
Okay.
Okay, so because it selects different vertices and stuff. So that's basically it. I think you could still modify it. You can, instead of cutting holes, you can take the logo designer and paste your logo on it, which is also quite cool. You paste your logo here or anywhere else on it.
Hmm.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that sort of concludes it. So if there's any questions, I think I've covered it all. There may be something still.
I think it's all good. Excellent. Stop screen
Yeah,
sharing.
so it's a very basic, it's an easy module to work with once you know the ins and outs,
Hmm. Cool.
Excellent.